You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review Monday Night Raw from January 3rd, 2021, coming to us from South Carolina. I don't even remember what city this show came on, but what are my thoughts on this show? Of course, this is the fallout from Saturday's Day 1 pay-per-view, in which we saw Brock Lesnar enter in the Fatal 5-Way match and became the WWE Champion. Overall thoughts, I thought that match was actually really good. Of course, WWE unfortunately had no choice because of the fact that Roman unfortunately tested positive. Hopefully he recovers. He got tested positive for COVID-19, so he was unable to compete at the event. So Brock Lesnar had to wrestle, and they put him in the Fatal 4-Way, and it became the Fatal 5-Way. And now he's the new champion. Overall thoughts, though, on this particular show, to be quite honest, I had high hopes. I honestly had high hopes for this show. And from the start, you know, once you see Heyman and Lesnar at the open of the show, you really get a sense of, okay, we're seeing something special here. And you know what? I'm going to say this right now. Brock Lesnar is a draw. He is. Yes, he's a veteran. Yes, he's a part-timer, but you can't deny the guy is a draw. So, you know, it's great to see Lesnar and Paul Heyman back together, but we know what the hell is going to happen late in the next couple of months, or maybe in the next pay-per-view. Who knows what the hell is going to happen with Paul Heyman basically, you know, swerving all of us in, you know, going back to Roman Reigns, all that shit. But, this show, to be honest, man, it fell flat on its face. The only two things on this show that was good and legitimately watchable was the opening segment and the main event. That's it. Everything else, from after the opening segment with Lesnar and Heyman, the entire show before the main event was just god awful. Completely unwatchable, completely boring, and completely uninteresting. That was how bad this show was. And it really sucks because again, as I've stated earlier, I legitimately had high hopes for this show. But as I stated on Twitter, boy, was I wrong. But yeah, I'm going to be going through Raw. I'm not going to be going through the show real quick. Like, honestly, 3 hours of this show is a pain in the ass. You know, I'm being straight up. 3 hours of this show is a pain in the ass. And oh my god, I am lagging right here on OBS. Like, literally, I'm lagging right now on OBS, and it's insane. But, yeah, we're going to be, you know, we got a little bit of technical difficulties. This has been a common thing recently. I do not know why, but we're going to be, hopefully the lag just gets out of here. So if you guys see any little delay in the video, my apologies right there. But, yeah, I'm going to be discussing Raw. So one thing, actually, that happened on the show that, you know, usually it's like, to me, it's kind of a nitpick because we never see it almost every week on Raw. And that is, like, Pyro at the open of the show. Now, we didn't get a full intro, but we got Pyro at the open of the show. Usually, every freaking week on Raw, like, WWE just immediately, after, like, a video package shows, like, just cuts to the crowd and is like, welcome to Raw. Like, it's one of the most boring things you could do. And, you know, I will say, sometimes when the time is necessary, AEW does that as well. But rarely do they do that all the time. Like, WWE does it all the freaking time. And, yep, I got no delay anymore, so that's great. All right, we're back. So, yeah, we got opening Pyro. The lights go out. Who is it? The lights go back on, and Paul Heyman is in the center of the squared circle. So, he's in the ring and wants to introduce you to your client. Or to his client, I should say. The reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Heavyweight Champion of the world, Brock Lesnar. I'm not gonna do a Heyman impression in here because of the fact that it'd be really cringy on this podcast. I'm just gonna be straight up. So Brock Lesnar comes out. He gives the belt to Heyman, and literally throws the steel steps into the ring. And literally what happens is that he steps on the steps to basically stand tall holding the belt. Heyman then gives the mic to Lesnar. And then Lesnar's like, before they get the party started, he'd like to give a shout out to Roman Reigns. He's probably sitting home watching Raw, watching the new champion. He tells him to get well soon, and he tells South Carolina to acknowledge him. One thing I will say about this is that I really enjoy babyface Brock Lesnar. A lot of people have, but to me, I'm going to be straight up, we've known Brock Lesnar for years to be a heel, ever since he came back in 2012. And he's been a babyface in his first run in the WWE back in 2003, but then turned heel. It was kind of weird because he was in a feud with Kurt Angle back in early 2003, and he was the babyface right there. But then what happened was later on in the year the roles were reversed. Kurt Angle was the babyface and Brock Lesnar was the heel. WWE tends to do that sometimes when it comes to their storylines. But I'm not going to lie, I am a big fan of babyface Brock Lesnar. I just think it's perfect, and it fits him really well. And he really, to me at least, comes off as genuine whenever he speaks on the mic. And Brock Lesnar was never the type of guy that was really good in his promos. That's why he has Paul Heyman there. And Paul Heyman still cuts promos for Brock Lesnar. But, to me, having now Brock Lesnar speak more often on the microphone, I really enjoy. So he wants to also acknowledge his advocate and for all the strings that he pulled on Saturday to make him the WWE Champion. He thanks Paul Heyman. Then Paul Heyman speaks on the microphone. So Heyman basically puts over Brock Lesnar, says what's better than a fatal 4-way to make it a fatal 5-way with Brock Lesnar. Says at the Royal Rumble, Lesnar will defend the belt against the winner of the fatal 4-way tonight, the winner that being either Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Big E, or Bobby Lashley. Spoiler alert, it's Bobby Lashley. So he basically runs down each challenger. First, he runs down both Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Then, talks about Roman Reigns. He says 1 week without Reigns, the special counsel, he has COVID, and says karma can be a little bitchy. That was one of the funniest lines that Heyman said in his promo. I'm not going to lie. So he talks about Lashley, then says Lesnar never met Bobby Lashley, and says the first time he met Bobby Lashley was at day 1. Runs down Lashley as Brock Lesnar wannabe. Then he proceeds to talk about Big E. Says they have nothing bad to say about Big E. He was a great champion and did WWE justice. He proceeds to put over Big E, and he says that they have nothing but respect for Big E. But if he wins this fatal 4-way match, it would be an honor to face him because he is going to lose, and it would be an honor for him to lose to Brock Lesnar. So that was basically the gist of Paul Heyman's promo. Paul Heyman is the master of the microphone. Honestly, he is. He is the legit master of the microphone. Nobody can top Paul Heyman. Maybe MJF. I don't even know, but Paul Heyman can literally cut any promo on anything, and he's the best at his profession. But what are my thoughts on this opening segment? This was the segment that I actually thought, was getting me hope for this show, because I thought, okay, we got a fatal 4-way match. It was basically the day 1 main event, the original main event of the fatal 4-way match that we were going to get 3 hours later. But I legit had hope for this show, but I'm going to be 100% honest. After this segment, everything just went downhill. Everything went downhill, and the show just became unwatchably bad. Rematches, the same shit over and over again. Things that make absolutely no sense, like Doudrop being in a triple threat next week. Just really stupid stuff. A 24/7 rematch, the same match that we saw last week, which I'm not even gonna, I didn't even take notes on that because of the fact that it's a joke. I don't treat the 24/7 championship as a legitimate championship. To me, it's a joke. When Dana Brooke won that title, WWE was putting her over so much, saying, congratulations on your first championship. Bruh, she has been in this company since 2016. Bruh, do you honestly think the viewer cares about her winning the 24/7 championship? Bro, that title is a freaking joke. I'll get to that later. I'm getting pissed off just talking about it. But we get RK Bro backstage. Randy Orton basically asks Riddle how many celebrity connections that Riddle has, and says, what are his New Year's resolutions? And Riddle basically states, oh, to listen to Randy. Then Randy talks about all of their victories and says they won because their name is. Then Riddle proceeds to joke around and then finally enters RK Bro. So we get RK Bro versus the Alpha Academy. So this is basically a hybrid of a rematch of last week. Of course, last week we had singles matches. One, I think it was with Randy Orton Randy Orton going up against Otis and Riddle going up against Chad Gable. And I will say this, last week's match with Riddle and Chad Gable, it was a short match, but I thought it was a really good technical wrestling match. It was a really phenomenal match, in my opinion. Both worked really well. But I'm not going to be talking about the in-ring work here. Well, I am going to talk about the in-ring work in the match, but booking-wise, this is absolutely terrible. I say that it's terrible because of the fact that, we've seen already singles matches with these wrestlers already, and now we're going to be seeing a tag team match with them. And this is one of the problems that Raw has, and I constantly say this every week on my Raw review. What is the point of having a show and when you have constant rematches over and over again? The viewer gets completely bored. Yes, I got bored. I got extremely bored watching this because there's no point in me investing my time in a fucking 3-hour show watching the same matches every week. And I feel like Rampage is kind of having a similar problem. Not as bad as WWE, but I feel like Rampage is kind of having a similar problem. I mean, one example I can name is the Bunny, Penelope Ford, Anna Jay, and Ty Conti. I mean, how many times were they wrestling on Rampage for the past couple of months? A lot of times. And to me, that is kind of an issue when it comes to Rampage. Hopefully, they can get themselves out of that situation. But that problem is not as big of a problem that WWE has. Like, WWE has a huge problem when it comes to rematches and all that type of booking, because they've been doing this type of booking for years. When you watch a Dynamite show, very rarely do you see rematches. Now, we're going to be getting a rematch with Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page, but it's for a particular reason, and it's for a feud that is happening with Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson. I don't even know why I'm putting Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page in the discussion, because of the fact that it's part of the storyline and it's part of the feud. This right here, bro, we be getting rematches on Raw every freaking week, and forgive me if I literally mentioned Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page. I shouldn't have, because of the fact that really that booking does not need to be put in comparison with the booking that is on Raw, period. But we got RK Bro versus Alpha Academy. You have your tag team champions lose, and WWE always has a thing when it comes to having their champions lose on television. They did this so many times with Big E, with U.S. champions and IC champions. The only champion, in my view, that hasn't lost on television is Roman Reigns. Yeah, Roman Reigns hasn't lost on television. This guy's unstoppable because he is the biggest star in the company right now. But, shouldn't all your champions matter in the company? One champion shouldn't be the only champion that matters. Every champion has to matter. Now, granted, the tag team championships, the women's tag team championships, I'll go so far as to say the mid-card championships are a freaking joke in WWE because they don't treat them as important as the WWE or the Universal Championships. That is just my opinion. But I'm going to be discussing the match. Both brawl it out. Otis takes Riddle to the outside. Then he throws Riddle. Once we're back from commercial break, the match finally starts. Otis throws Riddle to the mat. We get a cover and a near fall. Chad Gable tags in. We get a double team attempt by the Alpha Academy. We get repeated rights by Gable. Then Otis tags in. We get a slam by Gable. Otis hits an elbow drop. He works on Riddle. Takes Otis to the corner. Wants to make the tag. Riddle escapes and Otis hits a kick. Randy then wants to tag in, but Gable takes him to the outside. Otis then takes out Randy on the outside. We get a knee by Riddle on, I think it was on Otis. Yeah, it was on Otis. He tries to hit the RKO, but Otis basically just catches him. And he catches Riddle, proceeds to slam him. We get a cover, and Otis and Chad Gable win the match. Match that I honestly did not care about because of the fact that we saw two variations of singles matches last week. So honestly, why should I really invest my time in this match? Honestly, I have no real idea. We get a backstage interview with MVP and Bobby Lashley. MVP talks about the future, says the Almighty has to overcome odds to beat Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Big E. Says it is a task, but then Lashley gets the microphone when MVP leaves and says Brock Lesnar fears him. Great. We get a backstage interview with Omos. He's basically before I get on with this, one thing I have to say, bro, the interviewers are really stupid in WWE. To be quite honest, I am not a fan of the interviewers in WWE. Like, the backstage interviews, to me, they don't come off as genuine. They come off as extremely forced. And a lot of things in the WWE come off as extremely forced, in my opinion. You know, again, I've stated this earlier, and probably a lot of other podcasters have stated this earlier. Wrestling is good when it feels real. And, you know, to me, that doesn't feel real. Like, when Tony Schiavone is backstage on Dynamite, you know, to me, I feel that genuine. Like I feel that Tony Schiavone is legitimately being genuine. And, you know, that goes for the commentators and the backstage interviews. Like, you clearly... And I put AEW in this discussion because I should compare the two. I mean, AEW, in my opinion, has a better product than the WWE on both rosters. And that's just my view. And if you don't like it, tough. That's just my opinion. I love AEW. I love the WWE. But in my opinion, AEW is the better product. It just, to me, feels more realistic. You know, when it comes to the WWE, it's one of the worst... Like, from the camera work, from the camera work to the commentary to the backstage interviews, everything comes off as scripted and forced, and it's absolutely awful. So he is basically asked by the interview how he reacts. Omos covers the interviewer's hand like that, and Omos just answers, "That's how he reacts." Yeah. We got Dana Brooke and Reggie versus Akira Tozawa and Tamina. I'm not going to discuss this match. I didn't even take notes for this match because of the fact that, number one, it's a rematch. Number two, it's a 24/7 match. And number three, nobody gives a shit about this match. You know, I cannot take Tamina seriously if she was, like, a couple months ago, the women's tag team champions with Natalya. I mean, the women's tag team championships were a joke, to be quite honest, because of the simple fact that there are no real tag teams in the women's division. Like, that's the simplest answer I could give to you. The Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships are important because of the fact that they have actual women's tag teams. WWE do not have women's tag teams. They just put two women together and boom, that's a makeshift tag team. That's not a real tag team. You know what I'm saying? And Tamina, literally a couple months ago, was the women's tag team champion. She was a women's tag team champion. Now she's doing work for the 24/7 championship. Like, I cannot take her seriously at all. I never took her seriously, to be quite honest. Nothing personal. I'm just saying I never took her quite seriously. So this was the same match as last week. Dana Brooke and Reggie go over. I'm not even going to discuss this match. It was a joke. And get that title off television because, number one, it's not a draw. Number two, you know, you're not going to get new viewers by putting this stupid shit on television. If a viewer that used to watch the WWE back in you know, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and, you know, saw this shit today, they'd be like, you know, this is garbage. This is absolutely garbage, and it's terrible. And they'd probably say it's a ripoff of the Hardcore Championship. And look, the Hardcore Championship was a comedy title as well, but at least that had more compelling television than the 24/7 Championship. The 24/7 Championship is a joke, and stuff like this just doesn't slide in 2021. I'm sorry. Just booking like this, to me, doesn't fly. This is one of the reasons why the WWE in 2021 is a fucking joke. It's a complete joke, and it's ridiculous. All right, Liv Morgan. We get a video package with Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch from day one. So then we get a Becky Lynch segment. Talks about her win over Liv Morgan at day one. She says she knows all the women in the back have a New Year's resolution to be the Raw Women's Champion, but her New Year's resolution is remaining the Raw Women's Champion. Says they can't beat her. Many tried, but they all failed. She hasn't taken the time last year. 365 hasn't taken the time last year. She realized she has become a work of art. Says you go to a museum and you see a famous painting or whatever, as she stated. I don't even know what she stated. And you can't look away because it makes you feel, and that's what good art does. It makes you feel. The other things about fine art is that it reveals. It says all those girls in the back say that they're going to win the Raw Women's Championship, but in reality, they're not. Take Liv Morgan. She lost and broke her promise to all you fans. So it continues to basically run down Liv Morgan, blah, blah, blah. Then Liv Morgan comes out. She says that she was back there listening to how she basically came up short and all that stuff. Says she doesn't need to worry about her, but she was thinking. She knows how close she was winning that title on Saturday. Becky says one day she wins the title until she retires. That is like the day she will win the title, until she retires. Says she ain't big time Bex. Then Bianca Belair comes out. Says she is sick and tired week after week running her mouth. Says Liv ain't by her hype, and neither is her. Says she graciously stepped aside to allow other people to catch up, but now she's right back in line for big time Bex. Liv and Bianca basically then after that just run down each other verbally. Becky wants them to leave her ring, quote unquote. Then both Liv and Bianca attack Becky and take her to the outside. Both Liv and Bianca face off. Both fight each other. We get an enziguri by Liv. Bianca then hits a right hand, picks up Liv, but Becky comes in and hits the manhandle slam on Bianca. Becky holds the title high and leaves, and the segment ends. Yeah, again, another segment that I just gave no two shits about, to be quite honest. You know, even if Liv Morgan was going to win the title at day one, you know, I honestly felt that there would have been some 50-50 booking happening, and then there would have been a rematch at the Royal Rumble, and then, you know, Liv would have dropped the belt. She would have dropped the belt back to Becky. Like, I felt like I honestly would feel that a scenario like that happening if Liv Morgan had won the title on Saturday. But I mean, because it's typical WWE, because WWE always does that all the freaking time. But honestly, where's this going to lead to? There's going to be a triple threat match next week on Raw with Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Doudrop. Why Doudrop is in it? I'll talk about that later on. I think it's a stupid decision in my opinion. All right. We get Seth Rollins backstage. Kevin Owens meets up with Rollins. Rollins is glad he showed up. And he's asking Owens, what should I do with Paul Heyman? And Owens basically just lays out a whole plan on what they should do. Is like, you know, one of them should win the Fatal 4-Way. You know, then, you know, they should go face the champion, blah, blah, blah. And then whoever wins the Rumble, then they will become the main event at WrestleMania. All that type of stuff. You know, I definitely do see some chemistry when it comes to Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. And I think, you know, I wouldn't mind them, you know, being a makeshift tag team for a little bit, but honestly, I have a feeling that they're going to eventually feud and have a potential match at WrestleMania. That's just what I see, in my opinion. That's just what I see. And to be quite honest, they put out a really good match. I mean, they wrestled before back in 2016 multiple times. I mean, I would love to see it happen. But yeah, that's just my opinion. One match that I did not give no two shits about. Honestly, the majority of the show I did not give two shits about. Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley versus Queen Zelina and Carmella. How many times we've seen this match? Honestly, so many different times. The match starts. Zelina and Rhea start. Rhea picks up Zelina, slams her. We get a cover and a near fall. Nikki is in control. We get a clothesline by Nikki. Then Zelina is in control. We get a side headlock by Nikki. Nikki then proceeds to escape. She picks up Zelina. We get a roll-up by Zelina and wins the match. Yeah, it makes the baby faces look extremely stupid when Zelina just... WWE has a tendency to make their baby faces just look so dumb. They really do. And you wonder why the baby faces in the WWE don't get over as much as they do in AEW. Is because of the fact that WWE books them into ridiculously, like, just dumbness. Like, They do not know how to book baby faces anymore. They just don't. I'm sorry. They do not know how to book baby faces. It's a joke. We get a video package. We saw this at day one, but I forgot to talk about it in my review. Johnny Knoxville basically stating that he's going to be an entrant in the Royal Rumble match. Do I care? No, but I'm excited for Jackass Forever because Jackass is hilarious. I love people doing stupid shit. Yeah, I laugh at that. I don't care. Sometimes stupidity pisses me off, but to be quite honest, when you see people doing stupid shit sometimes, it'll make you laugh. All right. The Mysterios then talk about the Royal Rumble. Okay, great. So then we get the Street Profits versus Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. Bro, I swear, this whole Commander Aziz gimmick, I'm sorry, to me, it's just, it screams Vince McMahon to me, because I could tell Vince McMahon came up with that freaking character. All right. This match was okay. It was not the best match, but it was a fine match. Ford and Aziz start, both lock up. Ford with a couple of shots and kicks. Aziz sets Ford in the corner. We get a shoulder tackle by Commander Aziz. We get a slam by Aziz. We get a headbutt by Commander Aziz. We get a cover and a near fall. We get an enziguri by Ford. Dawkins tags in. Cruz tags in. We get a splash in the corner by Dawkins. Dawkins then hits the silencer. Aziz tries to interfere. Aziz takes down Dawkins. Aziz sends Dawkins to the ring post. But then Ford tags in. We get a frog splash on Ford on Apollo Crews. At this point, Apollo Crews was the legal man. We get a cover, and the Street Profits win the match. Honestly, this match was quick. It was fine, but again, what is the reason behind this match? Honestly, there's no reason behind it whatsoever. I just do not care whatsoever at all. All right. We get a backstage interview with Damien Priest. He talks about the side that he is furious and says that if he can keep his cool, he will beat him. Yes, we're going to be getting Damien Priest versus Dolph Ziggler for the third straight week in a row. How many times do we have to see this match? I'm asking you, the viewer. How many times do we have to see this match? We don't have to see this match anymore. That's my answer. We don't have to see this match anymore, considering the fact that we've saw it twice. Now, granted, it ended in fuckery, like, in DQs and all that stuff, but come on, I mean, that's WWE's fault. They always put themselves in predicaments in which they do not know what to do when it comes to their booking. Every time when they book something, like, for example, like a title match that you're, like, extremely excited for, and the match is going on great, you instantly get disappointed in which, the match just ends in a random countout or a DQ. Hence, Damien Priest and Dolph Ziggler. Like, why are you supposed to make me care if the previous 2 weeks you didn't make me care? That is the problem I'm having with this show. All right. Doudrop is backstage with Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce. Why is she there? I do not know why. So she is complaining and says that she is tired of seeing the same women having chance after chance. And Sonya proposes a match next week in Philadelphia, or in Philly, I should say, the home of ECW. Liv Morgan versus Bianca Belair versus Doudrop. The winner faces Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. I'm not going to call it a premium live event because I refuse. It's a pay-per-view. Okay. What are my thoughts on this? First off, why is Doudrop being put in a triple threat match next week? That is the question I'm going to ask. Because to me, you're just putting her in the match for the sake of putting her in the match. Like, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Doudrop, I would assume, I don't remember because the show is that damn bad, but she wrestled Bianca Belair for like the past 2 or 3 weeks. So, I believe she lost. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I don't remember, bear with me because the show is that bad. Didn't she lose to Bianca Belair? So why she entered in this match? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. This is a pure example on why WWE needs to have a scenario in which all their matches, the wins and losses matter. Why most of the matches in AEW are good and are interesting? Because wins and losses matter. Now, granted, there are some matches in AEW that you may not be interested in, but WWE will... not WWE. I feel like Jim Ross. No offense to Jim Ross. I love Jim Ross, but, like, I just said WWE. AEW. The thing about AEW is this. Look. When it comes to them booking a match, they will book a match that you, in hindsight, may not really give a shit about. But they put, like, a video package together. They put everything together so effortlessly. Like, they put a lot of effort in to try to make you care. And, in hindsight, it makes sense. In WWE's case, they barely put any effort, no explanation whatsoever, and they just be like, all right, you got the title shot, blah, blah, blah. And wins and losses really do not matter at all. That is something that needs to change when it comes to the product. Like, wins and losses need to matter in WWE, but in WWE's eyes, that's just too much work for creative. The people in creative are probably one of the dumbest people on there. Period. Look, I'm not saying I'm a better booker, but bro, like I can book a better show. Come on. Like I may not book the best show. I'm not gonna say I'm the best booker, but like, bro, like too much is like too much work for like the writers in WWE. That's just my opinion. All right, we got Damien Priest versus Dolph Ziggler in a U.S. title no DQ match. Okay. I do not care about this match whatsoever because of the fact that we've seen it twice already. So what is the point of me caring for this match? It was not a bad match. I will say that. It was not a bad match whatsoever. But it's just the fact that, we've seen it time and time every week. It doesn't make me interested anymore. Like that's the problem. WWE does this all the time, and they have been doing this for Raw not only this past year, but they have been doing it for years because of the fact that they are just extremely lazy. But yeah, I'm gonna be going through this match. We get a right hand by Dolph. Priest then goes for repeated rights. Both are on the outside. We get a spinning kick missed by Damien Priest. He misses a spinning kick. Dolph tries to take out Priest, but he counters into a tornado DDT. Once we're back from commercial break, we get an elbow by Priest. We get a DDT by Priest. We get a cover and a near fall. Then we get a kick by Priest. We get a high kick to the face by Dolph. We get a DDT by Priest. We get a cover and a near fall. Priest goes to the top. Then Dolph also goes to the top. We get a kick by Priest. Priest also goes to the top again, but Robert Roode attacks Priest. We get a famouser by Dolph. We get a cover into near fall. Priest then has that crazy look on his face, which to me is kind of cringeworthy, I'm not going to lie. Priest then, we get a clothesline by Priest. And then after that, we get a clothesline. Then he goes after Roode. Priest then grabs the chair. Dolph wants him to hit him, but then he throws the chair to Roode, Sabu style. Then we get a zigzag by Roode. We get a cover into near fall. Priest hits the Reckoning. 1, 2, 3. Wins the match and retains the U.S. title. Again, a match that I do not care about whatsoever because of the fact that we've seen it twice already. So what is the point of me watching it? It's small things like that. I don't even want to say it's a small thing. It's actually a major thing. It affects the show in a major way because the viewer just gets disinvested. I don't even know if that's a word. Disinvested. But they just do not get invested in what you see on television. They instantly will say that is completely boring. This whole middle of the show, after the whole Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar segment, and before the fatal 4-way, like this whole show is extremely boring. That's just my opinion. Like this whole show is extremely boring. We get Vince McMahon backstage, and another one of those instances in which I couldn't hear what the hell Vince McMahon was saying. Austin Theory comes in. He says that he is sorry and says that Vince McMahon says that he never apologizes. He says he has a surprise for him, and at the Royal Rumble, he's going to be one of the participants in the match. Is he going to win? No. Spoiler alert. We get a segment with The Miz and Maurice after his loss at Day 1 in a match that I actually thought was okay. A lot of people did not like the match. I thought it was an okay match. I've seen way worse, to be quite honest. But I'm going to be honest right now. I mean, the only reason why Edge and Miz are feuding is because of CM Punk and MJF. That is the only reason. AEW got traction with that opening segment on that Thanksgiving episode of Dynamite, and WWE wanted a piece of the pie. That's why they did that. That's the only reason why this whole feud is happening. It's kind of embarrassing. WWE is the industry leader, and they want a piece of the pie on what AEW is doing. But AEW is not competition in WWE's eyes, right? That's what they say in the stockholders' calls. But yeah, he's angry that he lost on Saturday because of Beth Phoenix. Says he deserved to lose. Then because of what he did last week, he shows a video package of his wedding renewal and says they know that true love always wins. After that wedding vow, he vowed that it would be Edge's last match. Edge then hid behind his wife, and he's like, "What kind of a man does that?" And the whole crowd is like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You be doing that shit." And Maurice has that weird look on her face. She's like that. Like she has that weird look on her face. Like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You be doing that shit to me." And Maurice then grabs the mic, and she's like, "Nope, not him." And then Maurice proceeds to put Miz over. Says Beth was here tonight, and she punched her right in the face. Then Beth Phoenix comes out. Edge then comes out. Beth is like, you were saying, Maurice? Then Edge says, most people would take the L and move on. He knows that Miz was better than that. Says he knew he would come out and bitch and moan, and he proceeds to call him a hypocrite. Says, for once, Miz is at a loss for words. Doesn't ask Beth to fight her battles. Says that was all her idea, and says they're going to give them what they want. Imagine Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Maurice at the Royal Rumble. Miz then replies, are you serious? He proceeds to accept. Maurice looks just extremely shocked and pissed off, walks away, and then Beth, actually no, before she walks away, Beth proceeds to jump scare Maurice, and then she walks away. So we're going to be getting Maurice and Miz versus Edge and Beth Phoenix at the Royal Rumble, which in my day one review I said WrestleMania, and to be quite honest, I take that back because of the fact that there's so much better match possibilities that can happen regarding Edge. One match that I really want to see is Edge versus AJ Styles. I mean, AJ Styles right now is the babyface, and I'm glad that he's finally back on his own because I really do think he should be in the title picture again. But I think I genuinely have that belief that he will be in the title picture maybe after WrestleMania. But Edge and AJ Styles I think would be an amazing match at WrestleMania. That's just my opinion. It's better that this mixed tag team match would happen at the Royal Rumble. For once, actually, WWE has a better decision than I do. All right. We get a backstage interview with Big E. He's asked how he is motivated. He says being WWE Champion meant everything to him. Says what we don't do is stay down, and they make sure the next chapter is their best chapter. Tonight, he has the opportunity to reclaim what is his, the WWE title, and he'll be damned if there is a soul that stops him. Great. All right. AJ Styles versus Omos, a match that honestly I did not give a shit about either. This feud is kind of a joke. Both face off. Omos compares him and both their heights. AJ goes straight for the attack. Then AJ works on Omos in the corner. AJ's on the outside. We get a boot by Omos in the ring. Then Omos is in control. He sends AJ to the bottom of the ring post. AJ gets back in the ring. We get a kick by AJ in the corner. AJ proceeds to fight back. We get a right forearm by AJ. Omos then catches AJ trying to hit the phenomenal forearm. AJ counters. AJ tries to go for the phenomenal forearm again, but Omos takes him out. He takes AJ to the top. He picks up AJ and then throws him to the mat. Takes AJ again, hits a choke slam, cover, and Omos wins the match. Honestly, will this probably lead to a match with AJ and Omos at the Rumble? Probably yes, which I would definitely see AJ going over. And then after that, I assume AJ Styles will have a match with Edge. Hopefully they do that. Just WWE needs to book that match because I really want to see AJ Styles versus Edge at WrestleMania. We get an announcement that Alexa Bliss returns next week on Raw. Great. Hopefully we don't see supernatural stuff happening on the show because that was killing the show. Actually, no. It was one of the factors that was killing the show. There's still a lot of factors, even now, on this show that is killing the show. All right, we get a fatal four-way number one contenders match with Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Big E, and Bobby Lashley. Overall thoughts on this match. This match was really good. I absolutely enjoyed this match. It was really fun to watch. If you liked the fatal five-way match that happened on Saturday at day one, you're definitely going to love this fatal four-way match that happened. I knew from the get-go that Bobby Lashley was going to go over because WWE, and I have to say this right now, WWE, look, they will, look, when fans want a particular match to happen, WWE be waiting like 2 to 5 years to finally book the match. And when they finally book the match, it's completely uninteresting because it's too little too late. I feel like this is going to be the case with Lesnar and Lashley, but honestly, I'm probably going to be wrong because of the fact that I've wanted this match. First off, this match should have happened at SummerSlam. This match legitimately should have happened at SummerSlam. Not even SummerSlam. This match should have happened years ago when Lashley returned back in 2018. But WWE just never got around doing it because they're completely unintelligent. But, yeah, we're finally going to be getting it, which is great to see, but I'll talk about that later on. The match starts. This whole match was chaotic. Both Lashley and Big E take Rollins and Owens out. Lashley works on Rollins on the outside. Lashley picks up Rollins and throws him to the ring post. Big E works on Kevin Owens. We get a spear on the part of KO, sending him to the outside. It was not a full-on spear. but it was like in like the side of the stomach of KO. Both Lashley and Big E face off. Both proceed to exchange shots. Lashley gains control. We get an elbow by Big E. Lashley then fires back with a clothesline. Lashley picks up Big E. We get a suplex by Big E. Kevin Owens hits a neck breaker. No, never mind. It wasn't Kevin Owens. Lashley hits a neck breaker on Kevin Owens. He picks up Kevin Owens and then suplexes him. Goes to the outside and he tries to spear Rollins through the barricade, but Rollins rolls out and Lashley goes through the timekeeper's area. Then Big E hits KO headfirst onto the announce table. Big E then sets up the announce table. He tries to take Rollins through the table, but Owens makes the save and sends Big E on to the steel steps. Then Kevin Owens sends Big E to the ring post. Rollins and Owens then pick up Big E. They double powerbomb Big E through the announce table. Then once we're back from commercial break, a whole brawl just breaks loose. Rollins and Owens work on Lashley. Everyone is in the ring. During the break, Owens hit a frog splash. Yes, so they showed it. So Raw doesn't have picture-in-picture breaks like NXT does or like AEW Dynamite or Rampage does. But one thing I will say, that was a crazy-ass spot. Owens hit a frog splash during the commercial break on Lashley on the floor on the outside. That looked painful. Rollins sends Lashley into the corner, then sends Owens and hit a cannonball on Lashley in the corner. I think it was Big E that hit the Uranagi. Lashley then takes out Kevin Owens. Big E and Lashley face off with KO and Rollins. Then KO and Rollins run away. Both quote-unquote teams, because for a temporary amount of time, they're teaming up. Big E and Lashley just chased Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins through the crowd. They're fighting in the concession stands. Then, concession stands, my bad. We get a hurt lock applied by Rollins. KO then hits Lashley. We get a Uranagi on KO by Big E through the table. Once we're back from commercial break, the steel steps are set up. Both are back on ringside. Big E and Lashley fight through the crowd. Rollins then enters the fray. Then they also leave ringside again. Kevin Owens then hits a senton off the top of this section onto the floor, which was bar none the best spot of the night, in my opinion. It was by far one of my favorite spots, if not my favorite spot in the entire match. Both get back toward the ring. KO goes to the top of the ring. We get a senton by KO off the top. Then Rollins hits a frog splash. We get a cover into near fall. Big E goes to the top. We get a super kick on Big E, I should say. Rollins then tries to hit the stomp, but Big E picks him up. We get a pump up powerbomb by Owens. We get a cover and a near fall. Lashley comes in. He hits a belly to belly suplex on Kevin Owens. Then hits another belly to belly suplex on Seth Rollins. Then Lashley runs through KO on the outside. We get a rolling elbow by Rollins. We get a spear by Lashley. Then a second spear by Lashley. We get a cover. Bobby Lashley wins the match, and he will face Brock Lesnar later on this month in January at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view event. I'm 100% excited. I think, one thing I will say, when it comes to the card for the Royal Rumble, the Royal Rumble is always important, but it's always the undercard that really just gets you hyped. Because, the undercard for most Royal Rumble pay-per-views never disappoint. There are a lot of matches out there throughout the pay-per-view's history, which, there are really good matches in the undercard. One example I can clearly state is that triple threat match with John Cena, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar at 2015's Rumble. That was a freaking awesome match. But then we get a backstage interview with Brock Lesnar. And you know what Brock Lesnar states? He will see Roman Reigns on SmackDown this Friday. Didn't even say a single word about Bobby Lashley. But Bobby Lashley will go on to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. Where would this lead to? To be quite honest, I do not know. But I definitely do see Lesnar retaining. I think the match is going to be really good. The match is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a really good match, and it's going to be a fast-paced, but a really good match as well. They're going to both start fighting as soon as the bell freaking rings. I definitely do see Lesnar going over. Since WrestleMania is a 2-night event, I see WWE doing something special, like, maybe having Lesnar wrestle twice on both shows. Having maybe, a couple podcasters have stated this, and I don't know why I didn't think of this, so I'm not going to take credit for this. Take credit for these other podcasters, like, for example, Solomonster stated this out. Shout out to Solomonster, he's awesome. He stated this. What WWE should do, and I'm not taking credit for this, Solomonster said this, and it's a really good scenario, by the way, and I was like, why didn't I think of this? WWE should basically, what they should do is have both Lesnar and Roman Reigns wrestle both nights at WrestleMania. You know, Reigns and Lesnar will defend their titles in separate matches, and then they'll basically fight each other. The winners of each match will fight each other at the next night at WrestleMania in a unification match, kind of like what they did in Wrestle Kingdom a couple years ago. I think it was like the first Wrestle Kingdom that was a 2-night event. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is a really good idea. You know, I want WWE to do something like that. Hopefully, they do something like that, and I think it's a really good scenario that they could do. It makes WrestleMania more interesting. You know, I thought they were going to do that last year when it came to, like, you know, Daniel Bryan and Edge. Like, you know, maybe Edge would face Roman Reigns at night 2, and Daniel Bryan would face Roman Reigns at night 1. That was something they should have done, in my opinion. But they went the other way and had Bianca Belair face Sasha Banks in the main event of night 1, which was awesome, by the way. It was by far one of the best matches of 2021. And, of course, Bianca Belair went over and became the SmackDown Women's Champion. But, you know, I think they should do something like that this year. Really take advantage of the 2-night WrestleMania formula and make it fun. That's what WWE is missing, especially when it comes to WrestleMania. And these past couple years, WrestleMania really, to me, hasn't been WrestleMania. Make WrestleMania interesting this year. For the love of God, please make WrestleMania interesting, WWE. I beg you. But yeah, that was my Raw review from January 3rd, 2021. Overall thoughts on this show. I thought it was not a good show. I had really high expectations for the show, to be quite honest. You know, starting from that Paul Heyman and Lesnar segment, I definitely do see Paul Heyman definitely turning on Lesnar. I just do not know when. There are many different scenarios that can play out that we really need to pay attention of, but hey, WWE is controlling this. Do I have faith in these people? No, I don't, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was my Raw review for January 3rd, 2021. Overall, the show was really lackluster. This show was really boring and terrible. The only two things, the opening segment and the main event were the only two good things on the show. Everything else on the show was pure stupidity and garbage. But Raw was just not good at all this week. And I do not expect Raw to be good at all. Usually, you know, when it comes to WrestleMania season, WWE tends to step up their A game. But to be quite honest, in recent years, they've been really lazy when it comes to WrestleMania. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But WrestleMania is all the way in April, so, you know, plans could change at an instant. But we'll see what happens. So, yeah, that was my Raw review from January 3rd, 2021. Be on the lookout for my Dynamite, my Rampage, and SmackDown reviews. Yes, I'm going to be finally coming back with the SmackDown review. I'm also going to be doing a vlog, basically documenting my experience at Dynamite, which is going to be amazing. I'm going to be attending Dynamite at the Prudential Center tomorrow night. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. It's my second ever AEW show. It's not my first wrestling show, though. I've been to many different wrestling shows before. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what goes down. Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson are absolutely going to kill it tomorrow night. Who's going to win? I definitely do see Hangman going over, but, you know, they got judges, so maybe something's going to happen. I definitely do see an Iron Man match happening, but that's another story for another time. This is Broken Havoc. Well, please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications. Be on the lookout for more of my videos. And this is Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc podcast, signing out.